these steps are taken upon the lands you stand on today. The lands you stand on today were the signatures of my great-great-grandfather, and I'm always glad to come here and do that. It connects me back to my ancestors. You know, when we talk about these issues with First Nations, we expect that they be held when you are voted in. We expect that our voices are being heard. Why you ask for acknowledgements is to remind you that we are still here. And my ancestors, they're with me every time I put this shawl on. It's to protect me when I speak to the people. The headband is to protect the words that are going to come out of my mouth tonight. And I just really want to echo, you know, going forward, of really understanding the commitments you have for the First Nations, you know, why we are here. We don't come in and do culture politically. We don't. That's against us. But because there's writings here from all over the island, we have to do that acknowledgement to the Nuu-chah-nulth people, Klako, Klako, to the Kwakwala, Gaelakasla, Asiam na Jelaja, Asa na Amtanat, Haijka Gwensinate Hela, Etutlanatha, Haijka Siam Gwensinate Tianak. To my friends, I am Florence Dick. I am here to be with you on the grounds of my ancestors. I want to thank you for being here. And I want to thank you for, you know, the acknowledgements of my ancestors that were here once before me. Aichka.
Thank you, Florence. And hello. How is everyone tonight? It is so great to be here with you all. Wow, what a crowd. Before we get started, I want to remind you that as you entered, someone gave you a little card, an NDP card. And this is so you can write a message of support to Jagmeet as we enter these last, final, exciting days of the campaign. Yeah. Woo! So make sure that you drop them off as you exit. There are boxes, or you can give them to some of our amazing volunteers. And I know Jagmeet is really looking forward to hearing from everyone. Great dancing. Wow. I want to first say how thrilled I am to be here with you. And it has been such an incredible campaign. Just look around you. Take a moment and turn to the person beside you and say hello. Faces out here, many of you who I met on the doorstep. And I have been door knocking for months, and people are excited about Jagmeet Singh and the NDP. We live in such an incredible community. But what I've heard from people people again and again is that people here are struggling to get by. Costs are going up and up, whether it's housing, prescriptions, childcare. Life is getting more expensive and people are feeling squeezed. And we've had a provincial government who has been making real progress on these issues. But what have we seen from Justin Trudeau's Liberal government? Not much. He has let people like us fall behind. And it's because, really, we're not his priority. Justin Trudeau and Andrew Scheer, they are in it for people at the top. They have always chosen their friends, wealthy insiders, over you and me. But friends, this time, we don't have to choose between bad and worse. This time, we have another choice. Jagmeet Singh and the NDP. Our movement, it is made up of regular people, students, seniors, young families, people in our community working hard every day, and who care about our kids and our grandkids' future. These people are Jagmeet's #1 priority. And New Democrats will choose people over the wealthy and well-connected every single time. To have in BC a New Democrat government who has been working hard to make life better for people in our province. They have invested $1 million or $1 billion into childcare, into affordable, accessible childcare. This program has been life-changing. It not only makes life more affordable, but it means that people, and especially women, can go back to work. They have also banned big money in politics, putting people back at the center of our democracy, and they have been tackling money laundering, taking on the money launderers who have been fueling the overdose crisis and making housing prices skyrocket. This is a team that I am so proud to have representing us in our legislature, and it's why I am so proud to introduce our next guest, John Horgan.
E-3, and you can feel an excitement that I have not experienced in a couple of years. It is so great to be here with such an august group of people, the candidates from Vancouver Island, each and every one of them I'm proud to stand with. I want to thank Florence for inviting us into the traditional territory, the Lekwungen people, the Songhees Nation. This is an inspiring evening. We all know what's before us. We all know what has happened over the past 3.5 weeks. A guy named Jagmeet Singh emerged from a chrysalis. It was as if the mainstream media did not know he existed, and now everyone in Canada knows the most compassionate, hardest working person on the ballot, and that's Jagmeet Singh. I'm here to tell British Columbians who know this, but more importantly Canadians, fear not a minority government, celebrate a minority government. When you can have every single one of these individuals and members of Parliament across the country standing up and saying, we don't want to just talk about pharmacare during an election campaign, we want to implement it right across the country. We don't just want to talk about dental care for families during election campaigns, quietly, without even paying attention. We want to celebrate it from a mountaintop, and there's plenty of mountains here in British Columbia, and that's exactly what Jagmeet Singh's been doing. We have invested $1.5 billion in childcare in British Columbia. Imagine what we could do for young families if we had partners in Ottawa that had the same compassion for regular people as we do here in British Columbia. It has been, I'm going to date myself here and I apologize for that. I've been to a couple of these rodeos over the years. I have fond pictures of Ed Broadbent at home, and Audrey McLaughlin, and Alexa Madonna, and Jack Layton, and Tom Mulcair. But I am so proud to have had the opportunity to stand side by side with an individual that's not only faced personal adversity, but rose above that with a dignity and grace and compassion that was truly awe-inspiring. And when Jagmeet stands up and does not commit hate with more hate but with love, does not talk about the negative but the positive, does not focus on what could have been but what can be, that's inspiring. That's inspiring. It has been long overdue that we as New Democrats, and there are hundreds of thousands coming to our banner each and every day, even, I have to tell you, my Dutch Christian Reform in-laws. Yeah. No one was more surprised than my spouse when she talked to her mom this week and said, we're voting for Jagmeet. So, whether it's in Dutch, whether it's in French, whether it's in English, people in Canada, people in British Columbia are more than ready to elect the leader of the BC, the leader of the federal NDP, Jagmeet Singh.
This is incredible. Thank you so much for being here, having so many people here. Your energy gives me inspiration, gives our team inspiration, inspires our country. Thank you for being a part of this uprising. I also want to give a huge thank you to my dear friend, someone who's fighting hard for people, who's made a massive difference in the lives of so many here in BC. Please give it up for Premier John Horgan. I also want to take a moment for you to just acknowledge, if I can just shout out, our entire, I think almost our entire team, our entire island, Vancouver Island team of New Democrat candidates are here. So I'm just going to shout them out, they're going to stand up. We've got Laurel Collins, Bob Chamberlain, Alistair McGregor, Randall Garrison, Sabina Singh, Gord Johns, Rachel Blaney. Give it up to our team, Vancouver Island. I know we've acknowledged the territories on which we're gathered, and I think that's incredibly important. But I also think it's important when we acknowledge the lands that we're gathered on, we also acknowledge a history of injustice that Indigenous people have faced. We also acknowledge the ongoing injustice that Indigenous people are facing. And we collectively agree that we are going to do everything to remedy that injustice. Friends, I want to talk a bit about this election. We're 3 days away from a pretty historic election. And I want to talk to you about some of the stories that I've heard across the country, up and down the island. We've lived in a beautiful place. There's no doubt about that. But there's a lot of challenges that we face. We've talked about Indigenous justice. There's also ongoing challenges that people are facing across this country. I've met with far too many people that are struggling to get the health care they need. And we know that that's not a coincidence. Consecutive Conservative and Liberal governments have cut federal funding to provinces, so the health care is not always there for families when they need it. I have also met far too many people that tell me they can't afford the medication they need. And I think about how nonsensical it is. You can go to a doctor, if you're lucky to have a family doctor, you can go to a walk-in center, you can go to the hospital and find out what illness you have. But if you're prescribed a life-saving medication, far too many Canadians cannot afford it. Far too many Canadians are having to make a tough choice. I've met a family where the father works really hard, has a decent salary, but he's got to support his family, and his kids have needs for medication. He wants to make sure they're taken care of. And taking care of their needs, the bills, the cost, their medication, he takes a gamble with his own life. He needs heart medication that he doesn't take. And he tells me that he knows he's taking a chance that he shouldn't be taking. His doctors told him again and again he needs to take this medication, but he says it just doesn't add up. At the end of the month, I just don't have enough money to pay all my bills and to take my medication, so I don't. And I met, it's true, I mean, surely. From the mouths of young people, that's true. It's true. You know, I think about this young man I met, probably similar to your age. A young man, young boy, he was 10 years old, living with a chronic illness, super courageous in the face of a pretty difficult illness. He's got to take injections and medication and deal with all these stresses. And when he told me about it, you could see I was worried. He said, "Don't worry about me, I got this. I know how to take my medication. I know how to be on top of my blood work. I can do this. I'm just worried about how much all this medication is costing my parents." He's a 10-year-old kid and he feels like he's a burden. And I think in a country as rich as ours, should a young kid feel like a burden just because he's got an illness? No. You know, thinking about young people, I think about the young people that I met in Victoria on the Climate Action Day, which was incredible. It was amazing. Amazing. Very amazing. We saw, I met so many inspirational young people. They were excited about fighting for a future where they didn't have to worry about the planet. And they were excited about coming together. But far too many young people that I met were also worried. They were afraid. And I think about when I was a kid, I might have had maybe some stresses in life, but I wasn't worried about the planet at the time. And all these young people that are worried are demanding, why is it that politicians are ignoring the problem? Why is it that we continue to see the federal government under Mr. Trudeau subsidize the fossil fuel sector? Why is there no action? Young people are angry. In fact, lots of people are angry. We have one planet. There is no planet B. We've got to take this seriously. And I hear and I see the folks that are really worried about that. And I feel their fear and their worry. Over this campaign, I've heard it across the country. I've met with lots of people that are worried about housing. I remember on the island, just in a suburb of Victoria, I met a bunch of high school students and I asked them what they were worried about, and I asked them about concerns, and they mentioned climate change, they mentioned the environment and water. And then a couple kids mentioned housing, then a couple more mentioned the cost of housing. And we were in high school. These are grade 10 to grade 12 kids. I was a little confused that kids were mentioning housing, so I said, wait a second, there's been about 3 or 4 kids that have raised housing. How many of you are worried about the cost of housing? Stand up if you're worried. And every single kid in that class, there was about 200 kids, they all stood up. You know, when young kids are worried about housing, you know it's a serious concern. And I've been hearing it across the country. People can't find a place to live. It's not just about finding a place to own, people can't even find a place to rent. It's getting tough out there. They're worried. You know, talked about healthcare, talked about housing, climate. Folks are worried about what's going on with our country, the direction we're headed. They're worried about their future. They're afraid. And then they look at the choices and the options they have. As life gets more and more unaffordable, the cost of cell phone bills and internet bills are some of the highest in the world, and we're getting ripped off. They're frustrated and angry. I know I'm super frustrated every time I look at my cell phone bill. Did you ever see when you go over like a gig, you're just 1 gig over, and then you get a bill that says like $50 for that 1 gig? Or they slow you down and your internet's like super slow, it's pretty much non-functioning, and you gotta pay like $80 to get it back up to the normal speed. It annoys me. It doesn't annoy me. You know, given all these stresses that we have, I look at the choices, and I look at what choices Canadians are being presented with. They've got Mr. Trudeau telling people to settle for less. Right? He's telling you to vote out of fear. He's saying, you know, you don't deserve real action, you just deserve pretty words. And that's what he's been delivering, right? Instead of helping out young people who are worried about the future, he continues to subsidize the oil and gas sector. He bought a pipeline. He's not a climate change leader. He's not a climate action leader. You can't be a climate action leader and buy a pipeline. Just a heads up. And you know, I wondered, because he made a promise in 2015. He made a promise to end fossil fuel subsidies, and I thought that was a good promise, and I'll admit it. I was kind of hopeful when he got elected that maybe he would do that really important thing that could redirect money towards clean energy or renewable energy. And he didn't do it. I was wondering, why didn't he follow through on this commitment that he made? And then we looked at some of the information that we were able to uncover, and it turns out that the Liberal government met with the oil and gas lobbyists a whole bunch of times. When I gander, I guess? 1,800. That is a randomly awesome guess. Pretty close, actually. Yes, you read the press releases. That was well done. Closer, but the winner's over here. but in a way we're all kind of sad because the number is true. Over 4 years, the Liberal government met with the oil and gas lobbyists over 1,500 times. If you think about that, that's like regular meetings every single day for 4 years. And what that meant is they chose the oil and gas sector, they chose big polluters, they chose to exempt the biggest polluters, they chose to continue to subsidize them, and they bought a pipeline. All because they would rather help out those at the very top rather than young people or people in general that are worried about our planet. And so again, I think that's not a choice that Canadians need to make. You know, Mr. Trudeau hasn't earned your vote. He doesn't deserve your vote anymore. When it comes to healthcare, Liberals have been promising universal pharmacare for 22 years. Then this election, they say, yes, we're going to put some money, and that's it. There's no plan. They haven't even committed. Their own report that they commissioned says the logical thing to do if you want to take our healthcare to the next level is deliver universal, publicly delivered pharmacare for all. And Mr. Trudeau didn't choose to do that. He didn't even do something as basic as changing the list of countries that we use to set the prices for our medication. Something really basic, would have cost us $0. $0 out of our budget, just a new list of countries, and the board that sets the price for medication could have significantly lowered the cost of drugs. And I wondered, why didn't he do that? It was a basic thing. It would have helped out families. It would have helped out people. Why wouldn't he do it?
Big Pharma.
Hey, you got the answer. Guess how many times he met with... Guess how many times his government met with the big pharma and the insurance lobbyists that definitely don't want universal pharmacare. Guess how many times, roughly? I should have started the other way around, because now you're going too high. It's still a huge number, though. 875 times. So again, he abandoned a commitment that would have lowered the cost of medication. He's now reintroduced that commitment during the election. Again, how can people believe we had 4 years to do this one thing and he didn't do it? He chose to protect the profits of the big pharmaceutical companies, big pharma, and the big insurance companies instead of protecting families. It was a choice. This isn't by chance. You know, when we think about the housing crisis, when we look at the amount that Mr. Trudeau talked about, this big housing plan, then we researched the plan, and it turns out, as a percentage of GDP, he's actually spending 19% less than Mr. Harper. Take that in. He went out and made announcement after announcement, said, yes, I'm going to do something about housing. I'm going to do 90% less than the Conservative government that I criticized. I mean, so that is not a choice for Canadians. That's not going to make things better. He's chosen again and again to help out those who are powerful and at the top. He's chosen to side with the powerful corporations over families that need help. He gave $14 billion to the wealthiest corporations in the last fall economic statement to buy corporate jets and limousines. And he says there's not enough money to help Indigenous communities that need clean drinking water. He says he's just not making the right choices. And then, I don't know if I need to say this in this room, but are the Conservatives the option? They're not the option. We know what Conservatives do. They talk about cutting taxes, sure. You know, they cut taxes, but they cut it mostly for the richest. Those at the very, very top will benefit. Most working class families won't see a real benefit in their lives. But sure, they'll cut some taxes, but what else do they cut? They cut services, they cut healthcare, they cut education. And you know what? They use this coded language. It's really tricky. They say, we're going to find efficiencies. Let me translate that for you. Anytime you hear conservatives say they're going to find efficiencies, translation, they're going to cut healthcare, they're going to cut education, they're going to cut the services you need. And while they might cut taxes a little bit, they're going to cut the services you need, and it's going to cost a lot more. It's going to cost families a lot more. So they're not the option. Now, it's clear what they were going to do, and I knew that that's what Conservatives do. Then they put out their platform, which made it really clear that they're going to cut services horribly and painfully, and so we're not surprised, but I still am a bit surprised that Ms. May has continued to put it out there that she's willing to work with the Conservatives. We've got a leader that has said that he doesn't believe in a woman's right to choose. He said that he doesn't really support same-sex marriage and the rights of the LGBTQ community. And he's made it clear he's going to cut the services that families need. I made it clear, no, I'm not going to work with someone like that. Not going to happen. So in this election, you have a choice. You know, don't ever let people tell you that you don't have a choice. And this is to everyone listening across Canada, you have a choice. You are not stuck choosing between the Liberals who let you down or choosing Conservatives who are going to cut your services. There is another option for you. You can choose to elect a new Democratic government. Thank you. Thank you for the love. I appreciate that. And I love you all too. I love you all too. I want you to know this as well, that in this election, I'm running to become your Prime Minister because I want to make your life better. But I also want you to know that this election isn't about me. It's not about me winning. It's about, at the end of the day, no matter what happens, I want to ensure that Canadians win, that all of you win. I want Canadians to win because you deserve to win. You deserve better in your life. You deserve to dream bigger. You deserve to demand more. And that's why we put forward some urgent priorities for you. Urgent priorities that respond to what we've heard from people. We've talked about reconciliation and viewing everything we do. That's always going to be a priority for us. We've talked about priorities that mean if you elect more New Democrats, they're going to fight for you, and these are the things that we're going to work on. We are going to invest in healthcare, and that means ensuring that if you need medication in this country, you use your health card, not your credit card. Universal, publicly delivered pharmacare for all. A national dental care plan that covers people for their dental services. We're going to take on those cell phone companies and those telecom companies. We're going to take them on. I forgot to mention this. You know, Mr. Trudeau's government met with those big telecom companies over 550 times. And that's why we're paying some of the highest cell phone and internet rates in the world. So what we're going to do is we're not afraid of them. We're going to take them on, and we're going to put in a price cap that they cannot exploit people anymore. For young people who are graduating from university, there's a lot that we want to do. We want to make life easier for young people. But a starting point is this. We looked over the past 4 years, Mr. Trudeau and the Liberal government have profited off of the backs of students in debt. They've effectively collected $3 billion in interest off the backs of students that are in debt. Oh, it gets way more shame than that. Last year, let me tell you what they did though. Last year alone, they forgave $6 billion in corporate loans. Take that in for a second. They profited off the backs of students and made $3 billion off their backs, students that are living in debt. But for the wealthiest corporations, they said, $6 billion? Cool, don't pay us back, it's all right. So what we're going to do instead is, we're going to make sure right away, day one of a new democratic government or any form that people choose, we're going to fight to make sure immediately we waive all interest on student loans. Friends, we're going to make sure that when we look at young people in their eyes, when we see that fear for the future, fear for the planet, fear for the environment, we're going to tell them that we are going to fight with everything we have to fight the climate crisis like we want to win it. That means ending fossil fuel subsidies. That means ending the exemption that the biggest polluters have been enjoying. We're going to make sure that they pay their fair share, that we end the subsidies, and we reinvest into a clean economy and a renewable economy of the future. And then people are going to ask us this question. It's a fair question, I'm sure, it's fine. They're going to ask us, how are we going to pay for all of this? We're going to do something that the Conservatives aren't willing to do, that the Liberals certainly aren't willing to do. We are going to say to the richest Canadians, you are going to have to pay your fair share. We are going to tax the rich. We've got a plan to tax the super rich, not just the 1%, the 0.01%, those who have fortunes of over $20 million. These are families that are using offshore tax havens, that aren't paying their fair share. We're going to ask them to pay a little bit more. And with our super wealth tax, it's going to raise $70 billion of new revenue. We're also going to close offshore tax havens. We're going to close those offshore tax havens, and we're going to make sure we close the loopholes that the wealthiest and the richest Canadians enjoy, and the richest corporations enjoy, and make sure that they are paying their fair share. So I want to put it to you this. I want to put this to you. In this election, you have a choice. You have a choice to choose a government that's going to fight for you, to choose new Democrats who are going to fight for you. Because we don't work for the rich and the powerful. We don't work for the mega corporations. We work for all of you. And if you want to fight conservatives, New Democrats beat conservatives across this country. Donc, je veux dire, vous avez un choix dans cette élection. vous pouvez choisir les néo-démocrates qui peuvent combattre les conservateurs, qui peuvent gagner, et aussi les conservateurs qui se battent pour vous. C'est clair que M. Trudeau, il ne travaille pas pour vous, il travaille pour les plus riches. M. Scheer, c'est vrai. Et M. Scheer aussi, il ne travaille pas pour vous. C'est nous, les néo-démocrates, on va s'assurer qu'on va faire payer la juste part des plus riches, on va se combattre, on va faire face à la crise climatique et on va rendre la vie plus abordable. C'est clair. Le choix progressiste, c'est nous, les néo-démocrates. Friends, I want to end with this. When we look at the choices in front of us, I want to make something really clear. Mr. Trudeau, he's chosen the rich and the powerful, the mega corporations. He's choosing to side with them again and again. Mr. Scheer is going to do the same thing. He's chosen the powerful corporations, the big polluters. It's clear who he's chosen. I want to let you know, New Democrats, we choose you. I choose you. I'm going to fight for you. Thank you, my friends. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.